No, 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 no. So I'm sitting in McDonald's, I'm eating my filet-o-fish, I'm having a great time. I'm watching the Pokemon 30th anniversary presents, and we're getting Gen 10, and it's very exciting. Pokopia looks great, which I am going to be streaming on Friday, by the way, so subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. They announced Pokemon HOME compatibility for Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen officially within the presents, and then we get to what for me is possibly the most exciting part. We're getting Pokémon XD Gales of Darkness on Nintendo Switch 2's Online Plus Expansion Pass subscription service. I'm a little bit miffed. I don't get why we got XD when Colosseum is, in my humble opinion, the superior game and XD is the sequel. But either way, I'm excited, man. We're getting these GameCube games finally, so we can catch the Pokemon, trade them up to Pokemon HOME, or maybe trade them to FireRed and LeafGreen, as they were originally compatible with FireRed and LeafGreen on the GameCube and the Game Boy Advance. And then I read this. Now, when I was watching the presents, initially, I'm watching it on my phone, so I didn't quite catch the small print. But ultimately, it means that we're not going to be able to catch Shadow Lugia, purify it, and then use it in Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen, use it in Pokemon Champions, use it in Gen 10. I can't comprehend it. I don't get it. I don't understand. How much work would have had to go into this game just to make the... I don't get it. I don't get it. I especially find it confusing considering you can take Pokemon XD Gales of Darkness Pokemon from the original GameCube version and move them to Pokemon HOME. So why not? I don't get it. Some of the explanations I'm seeing on places like Reddit are like, oh yeah, but there's save states in the GameCube games on the subscription service. Well, how about we just don't have save states on Pokemon XD Gales of Darkness and you give me what I want? I just don't get it. Can't comprehend it. Pokemon XD was literally designed to be compatible with the Generation 3 cartridges, and we just got FireRed and LeafGreen, so I thought we were going to get like a full Generation 3 ecosystem within the Switch 2. We were this close to having a full Generation 3 ecosystem on Nintendo Switch 2. Let that sink in. So currently, and I guess still going forward, at least until Pokemon Bank shuts down, if you want to transfer Pokemon for Pokemon XD Gales of Darkness to Pokemon HOME, there's just a few items you're going to need and a few steps to take. First of all, you're going to need a Nintendo GameCube, a Game Boy Advance, a copy of Pokemon FireRed, LeafGreen, Ruby, Sapphire, or Emerald, and a copy of Pokemon XD Gales of Darkness. Let's not forget a Nintendo GameCube memory card with enough space to store Pokemon XD Gales of Darkness data on it, and you do actually need quite a bit of data for these, so the 251 block memory cards are your best friend for this. In addition, you will need a Nintendo GameCube to Nintendo Game Boy Advance link cable. You then, once beating Pokemon XD Gales of Darkness, can trade Pokemon in the traditional sense with the Generation 3 games. At that point, you're going to need a Nintendo DS or DS Lite, not the DSi because you need the Game Boy Advance slot in the bottom of the console, and a copy of a Generation 4 game, so that is Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Heart Gold, or Soul Silver. You can then use PAL Park to transfer your Pokemon over from Generation 3 to Generation 4. And then you're going to need the Generation 5 games. So that's going to be Pokemon Black, Pokemon White, Pokemon Black 2, or Pokemon White 2. And then you can bring your Pokemon from Generation 4 over to those games using the catching mechanic. But you will need another Nintendo DS in order to do that. Although you might as well just use the Nintendo 3DS because you're going to need one of those to transfer your Pokemon from Pokemon Black, White, Black 2 or White 2 over to Pokemon Bank. That's assuming that you have the software or you know the roundabout way to get yourself the software. I'm not going to tell you how to do that on this channel. People think for some reason that I'm sponsored by Nintendo. I'm not, but I kind of want to keep the door open for that. So go Google that one. Once it's on Pokemon Bank, you can then pull the Pokemon using the Nintendo Switch, which you also need to purchase, into Pokemon HOME, which you need a subscription for. All in all, if you don't have all these things and you haven't grown up with Pokemon like I did and kept all my consoles and kept all my leads and kept all my cartridges and kept all of my discs, then you're going to be spending a pretty penny on eBay. I'm really hoping that this video ages terribly and in a couple of weeks time Pokemon XD Gales of Darkness drops and they announce, hey, actually, we've changed our minds. You can, even if it's, you can trade Pokemon from XD Gale of Darkness to your friend who has a copy of FireRed and LeafGreen. I'll take that. I just don't want my Pokemon to be stuck on this software. It sucks. There's no reason. There's just no justifiable reason for it. If it's because of the save state thing, just don't have that in that game. It's really not that big of a deal. On the 3DS, most of the virtual console games had save states, but they didn't make that available in Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, and Crystal. So it's not that big of a deal. Just don't put it in and let us have it. Or make it compatible with Pokemon Home. If not, just make it compatible with trading in FireRed and LeafGreen. Look, make this video age badly, please, Nintendo. I'm begging you, allow me to transfer my Shadow Lugia, obviously once it's purified, to my other games. I'm not asking for that much. I don't think I'm asking for that much. The fact that I can technically get a Pokemon from this cartridge right here onto Pokemon Home, again, if you know the roundabout ways of doing it, but you can't get a Pokemon from a game that's on the Switch. It's natively on the Switch to Pokemon Home, which is also natively on the Switch. Just blows my mind, and not in a good way. Not very happy with you about this one, Nintendo, but in the next video I will be defending Nintendo, because the fans who are saying they're going to boycott FireRed and LeafGreen because it's far too much money. Yeah, I'm making a video about you guys next, so you ain't getting out of this without a bollocking. Comment below to tell me why I'm wrong about XD Gales of Darkness. Click this video right here to get my initial thoughts on Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen joining the Nintendo Switch eShop library, and this one in the middle to subscribe, because we're going to be streaming Pokopia this Friday here on Nintendo.